Now I'm going to talk about in this module about not only the importance of stakeholder engagement, but give you some stories about what really happens when you try and do this, what some of the benefits are, the struggles, and some surprising things that you're going to uncover, and maybe even some hilarious and sad stories along the way about companies that both do this well and do this poorly. The power of your stakeholders. It's important to understand both the power and influence every stakeholder group has in your organization, not only on its services and your products, but your practices and most importantly, your brand image, which I've talked about in previous modules, but the brand image of your company is really an intangible asset, and your stakeholders have more power over it than they ever have prior to this time. So if you think back, it used to be, say, 15 years ago, if you had a problem with a company or you wanted to say something positive, maybe you'd write a letter to somebody in customer service or maybe to the CEO and you never hear back. Maybe you called or you could, send an email. Well, nowadays, with smartphones, basically every customer, consumer, stakeholder can become an EPA administrator for any company. They can go out and they can video and they can capture good and bad things you're doing, upload it to YouTube, send it virally through Facebook, Twitter, and other social media means, and it can be across the globe in a matter of minutes. So the power of stakeholders is greater than it's ever been, and businesses need to be paying attention because if you're trying to make sure that you're engaging your stakeholders, delivering the products and services in the way that not only you are delivering them, but how they're perceived to be delivering them, you need to be paying attention to what your stakeholders are saying. I love this quote about stakeholder engagement. If you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And it's really true. For a lot of organizations, they have this hurry up mentality of, oh my God, we need to get something done. Or, oh my gosh, Earth Day's coming up. We need to get something out there. And that's great to do something fast. But if you really want to go far and have a long-term impact and bring your stakeholders along with you, they need to understand what you're talking about. So first of all, you need to understand how you define sustainability, but you also need to understand how do stakeholders define sustainability? Because with each different stakeholder group and within the subgroups within those, they're all going to be hearing the word sustainability and have their own idea or mindset of what that means. So you need to understand where they're coming from. You need to figure out what do they care about in terms of social environmental issues in relation to your business and what's important to them socially, environmentally, financially, and what is not. And that's an important one to really understand what is not that big a deal to a lot of your stakeholders because so many companies spend a lot of time working on things and they find out they don't care. For example, we had a client in the retail sector that, they didn't really have control of the product. They didn't manufacture it themselves. They just sold it in their stores. And, their mindset was, hey, we're doing everything on our end. We don't really control what the manufacturer does or what they do within their own supply chain because that's our customer, that's our vendor, that's not us. But what they were finding, this retailer was finding, is that people were coming in and holding them to the highest level of expectation. So if there were fires in the factories in Bangladesh or there were supply chain issues and things that were being uncovered in Burma and China, their customers were asking questions of them, even though they had no control over that value chain. They were just the retailer that was selling it to the end customer. So it's important to understand where your stakeholders are coming from and what they care about, because oftentimes, you may say, hey, we're doing everything we can within our own power, but the perception of your customers and your stakeholders may be very different. They may be holding you to either a higher or a lower standard than what you're expecting. And so you need to understand where they're coming from, and that'll help you really determine your efforts and show you not only your opportunities, but your vulnerabilities.